name is Brooke Burch, and I'm going to be teaching you a workshop today about design inspiration. People gain inspiration about things from all types of places. I'm going to show you how to put your inspiration in a visual presentation on a board. When putting together a collage for inspiration, which is called a mood board, the first thing you need to do is gather some magazines and other images from places off the internet or other places you can find print media. So this is a magazine I've got. It's a pretty well-known fashion magazine called Cosmopolitan. You can get magazines from all different genres and backgrounds. Whatever your favorite themes are, you might want to gather a pile of those magazines. So I found a couple pages in this magazine that I like for images, one of which being this page. Let's see if I can find another one to cut out. Let's see. Oh, here it is. This one I really liked. I'm going to show you how to remove it from the magazine in a good way so other people can use the magazine later. Grab a pair of scissors, open them up, and then you're going to score the page. So you're going to go down the spine of the magazine and score it a little bit so you can tear the whole page out. You don't want to go through the magazine and just cut a bunch of pictures out because nobody will be able to use the magazine after that. It'd be a lot harder. So if you take all the pages out that you want to use and make a pile of them, that's going to be more organized as you continue with the project. All right, next we're going to talk about the surface that you're going to be making your design collage on. You can use any type of board, preferably some sort of cardstock or drawing or painting paper will work really well because you're going to be using all types of media on your board. You're going to be using paints, glue, different types of adhesive. So you want to make sure you've got something a little bit thicker than regular paper. Yep, cardstock. Once you find all of the images you think you might want to use for your collage, you've got to decide what parts of the images you want to use. In this photo, I really like the background with the brick wall and the ferns. So I'm gonna actually cut that portion out and save it for my inspiration board. Try to save as much of it as I can. And cut this girl out. I'm gonna cut around her. And I don't know how I'm gonna use this just yet, but I'm gonna save it and I'll be able to use it for something. Same with this picture. I'm not going to use the guy in the picture. I'm more interested in his shirt. So I'm just gonna cut out that little bit of fabric from his shirt and use that part possibly for my design board. So those two pieces are the ones I'm going to be hopefully using for the next step. All right, after you have selected all the images that you want to use for your collage, you are going to plan out your collage. So that's best done by doing it in layers. You're going to be considering your background, your middle ground, and your foreground. So you're going to decide what images go in the back and what's going to be laid on top to create the most visual interest. So I've got my pictures laid out in front of me, as well as other things I'm going to use, such as fabric and some buttons and jewels that I may incorporate as well. I've got some larger images here. I just have kind of a pile of those, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to use or where they're going to go yet, so I'm going to play around with laying them on the paper first. I'm kind of just looking through to see what looks good together color-wise. Is there a color palette that's developing? Images that I enjoy. I know I've got one of the Eiffel Tower here. I've got a lot of flowers and outdoor scenes in this pile. You know, when I chose the pictures, I didn't have a plan going in. So I just picked things that I enjoyed, that made me have a feeling. So I didn't pre-plan my collage, I just am letting it happen organically. All right, as you can see, I've got some images laid out on my board. There's kind of a general color palette, lots of blues, greens, whites, and creams. And I've got some images over to the side that I haven't decided to use yet. I don't know if these will work with this particular color palette, and I don't want a look that's all over the place. I want to create an inspiration board that's got flow to it. So I'm just gonna leave those to the side. I may incorporate a couple more of these for smaller pictures, but all the pictures I'm not gonna use, I'm gonna put those to the side. And then I'm gonna also pull off my big ones so I can figure out what order to put those in the next step. Next, I'm gonna discuss the middle ground of the collage. That's gonna be kind of your mid-sized images that you find, or anything that's kind of in between size, or a strange shape. I have a pile here of some things that I found visually interesting, and I'm gonna look through those to see how they tie into my background photos. Let's see. Sort. Oh, this looks kind of interesting, this big eye. It's kind of cool. I like the girl with the bluish hair. She's kind of got this radiant glow about her. Don't think this one is going very well with my palette, so I'm gonna put that to the side. And also, not sure if the purple piece I cut out earlier is gonna go with this, so we're gonna put that one to the side. So it looks like I just chose two from my mid-sized pile so far. So I'm gonna put those in their own separate pile. After you've looked through your images and found ones to use for the midground, you want to think about the foreground, which are the images that will be laid on the top of the collage and kind of make everything pop and work together. So these are some images that I've pre-cut. Some of them are words, which is perfectly fine to use text in your collage. Some of them have borders to them, so they're not cut down right to the image, but there's a little bit of a border to make them pop. And some are just little snippets of textures and colors that you really like. This one's got a partial border, it's not centered, so it's just kind of things that will help tie everything together. As well as fabric pieces that you can incorporate. You can incorporate all different types of fabric and materials, as well as three-dimensional objects, such as beads and buttons. So these are all pieces that can be added to your foreground. As I said earlier, this collage is mixed media, which means you can use more than printed photos to make your collage. You can use paint, jewels, fabric, all types of things to help bring more visual interest to your board. So today I'm gonna incorporate some paint to make sure the background of my board is completely covered. I've got a paintbrush. You can use any size paintbrush you want, and you can use any type of paint you want. Today I'm using acrylic paint. It dries pretty quickly, and I've just chosen a couple shades of blue and green because that's what some of the colors are in my print images. So I don't have any particular way I'm gonna do this. Paint can be used at any point in the process, so you can use it for your middle ground, your background, or your foreground. It can be a major part of your collage or just a minimal part. So you will have to make that choice. I'm going to just kind of dabble some paint. It reminds me of the sky. I'm gonna make it go right to the edge of my collage. There were a couple spots that were blank when I laid my pictures out, so I wanna make sure that those are gonna be covered. I like to make sure my paint is spread thinly so it dries faster. I know there was a spot on the side here that had a little white showing through, so I'm gonna Put some green paint there. You don't have to be a wonderful artist to make a collage. This particular paint has a bit of a sheen to it, which is kind of nice. And I'm just kind of blending these two colors together to create some depth. A dab will do you. You don't want to oversaturate your paper. I'm gonna move over to the other side here and use up the rest of the paint on my brush. There you go. Now I may be adding more paint later in the process. We'll just have to see. Now that I've applied some paint to my board, it's pretty much dry, so I'm gonna start attaching my background images. I'm gonna do that with good old stick glue. We've all used it, we all love it. It gets the job done fast, and as long as you glue around your edges, your pieces won't come off. I usually put my glue directly on the board. You can also put glue on the image to make it extra stable, but I usually just put glue right on the board. And you can glue right over the paint. I'm gonna take my first image that's going in the corner here. Let's make sure I can line it up. This is a rather big image, so you want to make sure you get enough glue all over the place and all the corners so that it stays down. Okay, I think I got this one on pretty good. All right, I'm gonna put a couple pictures behind some of my large photos to make sure I'm covering the whole space. So I've got some nice pops of color that I'm going to be adding with some floral images. I'm just putting the glue on, making sure I get it into the corners. I'm going to make sure I get my image right in the corner. So this image is actually a large image, but it's gonna be behind another image for visual interest. So you'll have to kind of think about how you wanna layer everything as you go along. Making sure to flatten everything out really good and put glue on the corners of your images. There you go, I got image 2 on. So I'll give you guys a look at what I've got so far. So you see some of my painted areas poking through. You see some of the large images that I've laid out so far. So I'm slowly building up my mood board. All right, I'm gonna take another large image, and this one's pretty cool because it's got some fun angles to it here. So I'm interested to see how that looks with the rest of the board. Now that I have my background images attached, my midground images attached, I'm going to work on my foreground images. None of these small images are glued down yet. I just kind of have them placed where I might want to put them. I'm going to take them off temporarily. That is including the fabric. And then we will glue everything on for the foreground. So I'm still going to be using my stick glue for the images, trying to cover every inch of the board. I liked this girl. She's very interesting looking, and I like her smooth hair and makeup. Making sure I'm gluing the edges. All right, got her on there. I've got a picture of some flowers I was thinking about putting over here. Creating some depth. Then I've got that piece that I cut a border around. I was thinking about putting here next to the Eiffel Tower, that floral image. And the stick glue dries clear, which is really nice because sometimes I go outside the lines. I had an edge that still needed to be glued down from my midground. Oh, there's part of her head that needs to be attached still. Okay, and I also had a word I was going to incorporate, travel, because it seems as though I've got a traveling theme going on with a little bit of romance. I'm going to put that down here on the bottom, not right in the corner, but kind of floating. And then the fabric piece that I've got here is a piece of cotton. It's kind of got a dark celestial feel to it. I thought that kind of reminded me of the sky. So I'm going to put that at the top of my collage, and I'm gonna actually glue that on with a glue stick, though it can be done with the hot glue gun. I'm gonna glue this down flat to the rest of the collage. I think I got it. Okay, so that's kind of laid on top. Next, we are going to add some gems. I kind of have these little crystal looking things I want to kind of add to the board for three-dimensionality. I'm going to apply those with a hot glue gun. If you're doing this at home, you're going to want to make sure you've got it plugged in and sitting up on a piece of paper so that it doesn't leak onto another surface. For safety. So I'm going to take one of my gems, and I haven't decided where I'm going to put these just yet. I may sprinkle them all around. I may put them kind of all near each other. I think I do want them towards the top of the collage. So I'll probably put some in my little mountainscapes. I'm going to put a little glue on the collage and just stick these on there so that I don't burn my hand. If you've got something bigger you're gluing on, like a button, you might want to put the glue on the back of a button and then stick the button to the collage. It just depends on the size of the object. You want to make sure that you stay safe and don't hurt yourself. Okay, so you want enough glue to make sure the item sticks to the collage. I'm going to have them kind of trickling down throughout the collage. I think that could be fun. Maybe these gems I'll work into my fashion designs. Makes me think of a starry sky. Just kind of sprinkling them about. No particular location. Whatever's visually stimulating. And it's nice to be able to work with mixed media. I feel like you come up with more ideas that way. I've got a couple more. I'm probably just gonna use one more. And it'll probably go over here. There you go. Make sure you put your hot glue gun back over the paper. And then you just let these pieces dry that you've added. I've completed my mood board. I'm gonna show it to you now. Super excited and happy with how it turned out. You can see all the layers that I did and all the three-dimensional pieces that I added for visual interest. So I'm going to now use this as my inspiration for the next part of the project, which is transforming the ideas that you've put together into fashion designs. I've printed some templates for people to use, especially if they're not used to freehand drawing. You're not expected to do that. It's more about getting the ideas on paper. So we've got these proportional images for you to use of body forms. We've got a women's form and a men's form, and you can dress them however you want. They're gender neutral. You can make as many outfits as you want as well, however many things inspire you. I'm going to demonstrate a couple ways that you can create designs. In front of me, I have the female body template, and I also have a piece of tracing paper. I'm gonna trace the main parts of her body because I'm going to use some print media as well as fabric to create an outfit. So I'm not doing an actual sketch for this design. I'm going to use some mixed media. So I'm gonna trace the torso. I'm gonna have a sleeveless top, so I'm not tracing the sleeve format. I'm gonna trace it down to the waist. And I'm also going to trace a little skirt, a fitted skirt to do along with it. All right, so now that I've got those two areas traced, I'm gonna go ahead and cut them out. These are going to be used for the pattern to cut out the fabric and the print media, just so that the shape is a little more accurate. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to do any tracing if you don't want to. You can just go ahead and freehand cut fabric if you want to. But I do want to give you plenty of ideas so that you can use your imagination. Outline cut, and now I'm going to cut the waistline so that I've essentially got two little pattern pieces here to use for my mixed media outfit. I've got a piece of the fabric that I put on my collage. I'm going to use that for the top of my outfit. I'm just going to use my hands to hold this together while I cut. And I'm going to use my little pattern to cut out this little shirt shape so that I can glue it to my template. It's like a little mini shirt I'm cutting out. Clothing design can be done in so many different ways. There are no limits. And I encourage you to try all kinds of interesting things while you're working. All right. This arm's a little bit different. I'm gonna cut it a little bit more. So look, I've got a little tiny sleeveless shirt that I can glue right to my body form. Very cool. So it's like the celestial print. And then the skirt I wanted to make out of an image that I found in a magazine. It's kind of a skyscape at night, and I thought it'd be fun to have the buildings run along the bottom of the skirt. So I'm gonna lay my little skirt pattern that I cut out on whatever my favorite part is of the scape. And there's a lot of cool buildings here. I'm just gonna choose here. I'm gonna make the skirt a little bit longer than what I planned to make sure I get all the building in there. I'm gonna hold the pieces together by hand and just cut around this little skirt. Almost like we're making paper dresses. All right, so there you go. Look at that little skirt with the little skyscape at the bottom. Very cool, very different. People wouldn't be expecting to see something like that. And that is gonna be paired with my celestial nightscape at the top. So I've got kind of a nice evening wear look with this design. And I didn't have to sketch anything, which is kind of cool. So let me glue this on with some stick glue. Add it to her body. There you go, and I'm gonna glue the little skirt on. Make it meet with the other part. And no outfit is complete without some shoes. So I am gonna draw the shoes on. It's gonna have some black pumps. There you go. She's ready for a night out. Now that I have completed a mood board for you, and I've shown you how to make a fashion design based off of mixed media, I'm going to show you how to do a fashion sketch with various drawing materials. This is a mood board that I put together last evening at home that is also mixed media. I've got some fabric swatches, some really beautiful vintage buttons, as well as my background, middle ground, foreground images with things that pop out, such as these coffee beans, these beautiful flowers, and a couple girls who are dressed really interestingly and have a lot of attitude. I also have paint in the background of a couple different colors that are carried throughout the collage. So it's very balanced, it's well layered, it has a lot of depth and visual interest. So once I completed this collage, I decided to do some fashion sketches that were influenced by it. These designs are direct interpretations of some of my favorite parts of the collage. I really am into coffee right now, love drinking coffee and espresso, so the beans really spoke to me. I decided I was gonna create a coffee bean print top in this middle look here with a pair of high-waist gathered pants that are kind of bloom out at the bottom, like a harem pant. I thought that was kind of progressive. The top of the shirt actually has all of these buttons. So I envision this top being covered with these beautiful three-dimensional large pink buttons. With this template, there's actually a front, back, and side view available, but you don't have to draw one outfit on each page. You could draw 3 outfits on each page if you want. If you want to create a fashion story that's got multiple textures and shapes and colors, you can create 3 different looks if you want to. You can show the different sides of one look if you want to. So I've got a couple other outfits in the works on this page. This one is kind of a short dress with a flowy sleeve. And I wanted to capture that iridescence and multicolor vibe that I'm getting from my collage here, as well as the streetwear aspect that I've incorporated. And I've actually left one of my forms blank so that I can illustrate how to draw a long skirt for you. hope you enjoyed learning about mood boards and design inspiration today. I am very thankful for the Rochester Art Center for giving me this opportunity to put on this class, and to the Minnesota Arts Board for giving me the opportunity to teach you. I hope what you've gained from this project is that there are no limits to creativity. I hope that you go forward with a way to visually represent your inspiration, and anything that inspires you, you can do it with different textures and colors. You can do it with mixed media, and you can do it with sketches as well. So go forth and make art and enjoy the process.